What's going on? Waterfield recently launched their Flex Lite Gym Bag in two different sizes. The compact one's 20 liters. This is the full one, which is 35 liters. And it's essentially a less feature-rich version of the Flex Travel Gym Bag, which is 25 liters. It's got a little bit more organization going on. It's in between size-wise to the two different options that this one comes in. Been using it for the past few weeks since I got it as my go-to gym bag, using it for paddle, pickleball, and a little bit of working out. I'll highlight my favorite things about it, point out a couple relatively small nitpicks that I have with it. I'll pack it out so you can see what comfortably fits in here, and then I'll share my perspective on whether or not it's worth getting this one or spending 110 to 140-ish extra dollars to get the Flex Travel Gym Bag. So let's get into it. My favorite things about it are just the signature Waterfield materials, secondly, the execution of the shoe compartment, and lastly, the grab handles. Starting off with the materials, I think for anyone that's owned any Waterfield products, it's one of those things that either you absolutely love and you're probably gonna own a variety of different Waterfield products over the years, or it might not be your cup of tea. Me personally, when it comes to like shell fabrics for bags, wax canvas, while technology has come incredibly far and it's not the most functional in terms of being lightweight or being like super waterproof compared to some more technical fabrics that are available on the market today, the feeling that wax canvas invokes, and specifically the way Waterfield does it, they have this like 14-ounce Martexin wax canvas. I freaking love the color that they use, is a big reason for why I keep going back to their products. Something like a duffel where you're not carrying it typically for extended periods of time on your back makes for a better excuse to get something that's wax canvas. And the beauty of it is it will very likely outlive any other material that you have. And the longer you have it, the more it'll reward you with marks of personality, the patina, the scratches, all that good stuff. And then you could just re-wax it when it starts getting a little thirsty for it later on. Beyond the wax, like they're very consistent with just the components that they use in their other bags, right? And they're things that I have grown to love. Like for example, their custom zipper pulls are, I think, my favorite zipper pulls altogether. They don't add any additional material to the end. You don't need it. They're the perfect length. They grip well and they give you all the leverage that you need to zip and unzip. The webbing is top notch. Another thing that's very much like a signature Waterfield is just their nylon gold liner. It's got this like beautiful mustardy color. And one thing I really appreciate about it is that it has a certain like coziness to it. It doesn't feel overly technical, even though it's nylon. So I appreciate the timelessness of it. Everything is absolutely top notch. The build quality, every stitch on here. If you're new to Waterfield, they've been making bags for 20 plus years and they're made in hand in their small shop out of San Francisco. So it's also made in the US, part of the premium that you're getting. But I think cost to value for something that's made in the US using these materials with this level of detail is actually like pretty cost effective compared to a lot of the other options out there. The last thing I'll say in regards to material, the first Waterfield product that I reviewed was their Tech Folio, which is right here, is one of my two favorite backpacks. And it's one of those bags that when I initially got it, I loved the materials, the build quality, but there were a few things that maybe just weren't as intuitive to me initially, but a bag that the more I've used it, the more I've understood like the design philosophy that went into it. And one of the things that I called out when I reviewed it was just the PU coated zippers, right? They're actually like crazy smooth. I think I gave it like a 9.2 Pilgrim churned butter smoothness rating, which is the same that this duffel gets. But their decision to go with PU coated, where everything else is very much like built to outlive everything else. But I've used the bag a lot. The zippers just feel incredible, and visually it does tie everything together. Like I'm trying to picture a non-PU coated zipper and I feel like it wouldn't have the same pop that these bags have. And just from like reading on older like Waterfield forums, I've seen compared to a lot of other PU coated zippers, these don't peel as much. So let's just say I have accepted the pea coatedness of the zippers on their bags. So yeah, second thing I really love about this, and something that's important for a gym bag specifically, is the execution of the shoe compartment. So a couple things, speaking of materials, one of the materials that is prevalent in a lot of their products is this monolite mesh. It's like semi-translucent and it's breathable while still keeping things contained in here. So there's actually like 2 layers of it. Makes for a really good fabric to let the wonderful odor from the fruits of your sweaty labor just circulate out. The shoe compartment itself, like there's somewhere you have to do like a lot of fandangling with your shoes just to make sure that they fit. I'm a size 9 and I'll put a note here on what the limit, if there is. Usually there is a limit, but right now there's probably like another 4 inches left when I push these in all the way. So I think it should accommodate the vast majority of shoe sizes. I love the comfort component. I love the fact that even though it's, PU coated zippers with pretty sharp angles here, it is a pretty smooth zipping and unzipping experience getting in there. And then the other thing that I really like is the way that they've incorporated like a stowaway mesh sleeve. So essentially, if you're not using shoes, I hate having this like excess frumpled fabric just live inside the main compartment. Also worth noting, since I'm here, there is a little felt-like AirTag sleeve here, which is, I guess, like an interesting place for it. My only concern would be like, that's where your shoes are going, so maybe like knocking it out, but I personally probably wouldn't be using an AirTag on a gym bag. But here on the inside, they have this really like heavy duty mesh fabric that you can just really easily stow away that excess fabric. You know me, like I hate clutter. I like things nice and tidy, and I think that's something that just makes me really happy and keep this away from it. And then the last thing that I really like about this bag is just the handles themselves. It's 2 main things. They're using, it feels kind of like a Hypalon, like a tacky rubberized material, just to give you some good grip as you're holding it with your hand or when you put it over your shoulders. And then the second thing is the length. Sometimes they're too short or too long for you to be able to just like throw it over your shoulder, but this is like usually where I'm grabbing onto it. They did also include, worth noting, some D-rings on both sides. So if you want to get like an actual crossbody shoulder strap, they sell it. I want to say it's like a $50, like the suspension strap add-on. It comes in 2 different sizes as well. I think for anyone that is commuting, using like public transportation to go to the gym, that would come in super handy. I typically drive to the gym, so I'm perfectly fine with just this. Now, for what this duffel is designed for, it does it really well. There's not a lot that I wish was different. I would say my main nitpick is around the water bottle storage situation. And then secondly, more minor one, but just the internal organization. I would have liked maybe 1 more zippered pocket versus all of just like the open sleeves that they have in there. And I'll show you right now. But so for the water bottle holder, there's really one place that I've found to be the most practical out of all of them, and it's just this external sleeve. On their standard like Flex travel gym bag, it's actually zippered, so depending on the size of the water bottle, you can kind of zip it to make sure it's secure. Here, I have right now stuffed into this side like a puff sweater. So throwing in 1 water bottle actually with the pressure of that works like pretty well. I would not complain. I would say the main thing is if you don't have something bigger there, you can see this sleeve just gets kind of open. When you're at the gym and you just plop it on the ground, it's fine. Like it's not a big deal. I think it's just more like it doesn't feel super secure. It does when you add a second water bottle You know, if you have like a protein shake and then your water bottle, and that's typically what you carry, then you're gonna be golden. But if you wanna carry one water bottle comfortably, just know that it'll be fine if you don't have stuff other than like your shoes and like non-bulkier things. But it's just not super secure. You do have also on the inside, and this is something I've just like seen in a few other duffels where I guess it's easier said than done, incorporating like a good water bottle holder. You have pockets on this side, right? Where when it's sitting down right now like this, well, this is also like obviously not tall enough for this, but if you were to put it here and have it like that, it just wants to just completely collapse. Same thing with the smaller, tighter ones on this side. It's a little bit more secure, but it still wants to collapse. So really, this is where I keep my water bottle. Now, the second thing, just worth calling out, it's not a huge deal in terms of organization. Like this isn't a backpack, right, where I'm carrying laptop, a bunch of tech essentials. I've just found here, right, you have this zippered quick access pocket, which I love. I'll throw like my AirPods, phone in here, and that's really all I need for the most part. But on the inside, you get a key leash, and you also get on one side 2 bulkier pockets, and then on the other side like 3 smaller pockets. I would just say maybe exchanging one of these pockets for a zippered one with like some monolite mesh. That way, if there's additional smaller things that you want to carry, you don't want to create too much clutter here in this front quick access pocket, because maybe there are things that you don't need readily available. Just having one more secure pocket in here for those things, rather than it just being, you know, 2 big dump pockets and then 3 smaller dump pockets. But all in all, for a gym bag, I think it'll get the job done as it has been for me, for my specific use cases. All right, let me walk you through it now. Front, quick access pocket, gym, throw my phone in there, AirPods. Then for the shoe compartment, there you can see that awesome like monolite mesh. Right now, that's a little dirty. There's that air tag I was telling you about. That goes there, but size 9 pair of shoes fit comfortably. And then as you can see, there's like a good bit of space left over if I push these more. You have these nice little pull tabs as well, just to help with the zipping and unzipping. There's the D-ring, and then here's my precious Waterfield like custom aluminum zipper pulls. Beyond that, like just a few touches, like the reinforced stitching there, the leather patch with the logo on it. And then I'm actually a really big fan of duffels that open up like this, while you're a little bit more limited comfort wise with like the access point. The travel version that they have goes like this, and it's just so easy to zip and unzip like that. Anyways, on the inside, throw a little Theragun Mini into one of these like big pockets here. I'm gonna actually throw it in this one. You get 2 of those here, so you can see like the shoes taking up some of the like a good bit of the inside. And then this is what I was talking about, like with a water bottle. This is like a pretty big one, like a 40 ounce, but it just very quickly collapses to that side. And then same thing if you have one like this, the shoes are kind of in the way, but it still wants to go that way. That's why I don't put my water bottles in there. Just throw like a mobile battery bank into one of these pockets. Then you've got like a pretty heavy duty key leash. Change of clothes like shirt, shorts, etc. For smaller things like underwear, socks, you can either throw it on this smaller one on this side, or probably more comfortably on the bigger one on this side. This is where like there's like, you get 3 of these smaller ones, right? Yeah, one zippered, one for smaller things, I wouldn't mind. And then change of clothes. Here's like a puffy, like, you know, it's winter time, be wearing something like this getting to the gym. Now, if this goes just here on the top, can still probably prove the point, but and as you can see, like I didn't put that much stuff in here, and at 35 liters, like it fits it comfortably. I'd be worried about the 20 liter. The 20 liter I think is a great choice if you want to be able to throw it into your gym locker. But here it's like a pretty big opening, so just like the one water bottle, like it fits, it's just kind of loose, not like super secure, and that's with like a jacket in here. If I take it out and there's like less things in there, then it's even more loosey-goosey. But if you could plan on throwing a second water bottle in there, it would be solid. I don't know, like maybe putting like a drawstring where you just tighten it just to help secure it. But last thing I'll show you is just here, grab handles that I already talked about. Okay, final thoughts. Like if you're comparing this, the Flex Lite, with their Flex Travel Gym Bag, the 35 liter, the full size, is $249, and then the one option of the travel one is $389. So it's like $140 difference. I think really, as the name implies, one of the biggest considerations are you planning on using this bag to travel with as well? Because if you do, then the other one might justify the cost more, in the sense that you have more organization, specifically organization for smaller things. So the front compartment isn't just an empty stash pocket. It has sleeves within it. You get a rear zipper concealed pocket. The water bottle holder is slash like external pocket is also zippered. You get a luggage pass-through if you're gonna combine it with a suitcase. And if I'm not mistaken, it has like a hooking functionality, so you can hook it onto your locker. Me personally, I don't fly with duffels. Duffels are my go-to way of packing my clothes when I'm going camping, or if we're like road tripping somewhere. But when I'm flying, I personally rock a backpack combined with a roller. So a lot of the extra organization that you're paying for is hard to justify the cost for, like the luggage pass-through that I wouldn't be using and things like that. I think one of the really nice things that I wish this one had was just like this being a zippered pocket so that you can contain your water bottle better. But is it $140? For me, it's not. When you're getting the same build quality, the same materials, you're getting actually something that's a little bit bigger. So I haven't compared it side by side to the 20 liter version, but what I can tell you is that once you put your shoes in here, already like 60% of the internal compartment is filled up. If I had the 20 liter, I imagine it would be too tight, honestly, for what I would carry. I also like play paddle and pickleball pretty regularly. So, you know, carrying my paddles in here with the shoes and having additional space for the other things that I showed during the pack out, I feel like this is a really nice size. It doesn't feel too big or too small. I usually have like 20% of space left over, but I'd rather that than it always feeling like it's 100% full. So other than that, best of luck, Waterfield. Keep doing what you're doing. Love your stuff, and cheers.